One of the most stunning political comebacks, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva has been voted in as Brazil's next president. It was a very tight race. The former leftist leader, who served 18 months in prison for corruption charges later annulled, took nearly 51% of the vote. Far-right incumbent Jair Bolsonaro won 49%. Mr. Bolsonaro becomes the first sitting president in Brazil ever to lose re-election. Our South America correspondent Katie Watson reports.
Celebration on the streets of Sao Paulo and a sense of relief. They predicted a tight race, and it was a nail-biter to the very end.
I feel free, relieved. Not only for the Brazilian people, but for the whole planet, for the Amazon, for the democracy, for the human rights. So we are very happy.
It's a very divided country, though. There'll be lots of people unhappy.
Yes, because it was a very little difference, the small difference. So we have to be very patient, and we have to leave the anger and the hatred away.
What a comeback for Brazil's president-elect, a man who left power just 12 years ago with a sky-high approval rating, but who then subsequently fell from grace over corruption scandals. Here he is again, Lula 2.0.
It was the hardest campaign of my life. It wasn't man against man, party against party. It was a group of people who love freedom and democracy against authoritarianism.
The noise on the streets filled the silence from Bolsonaro's camp. The speculation was that he went to bed. While voting was largely peaceful, there was a lot of expectation and nerves on Sunday as people cast their ballot. In this unequal country, the divide was clear. Rich and poor, left and right. People had a stark choice to make.
I'm voted for Bolsonaro, of course.
What's the best thing about Bolsonaro? Why do you like Bolsonaro?
I don't agree with him like 100%. I think he has a lot of flaws, but he's a man of God. He has like the right principles, and he's not the biggest thief that ever exists in Brazil.
It's very sad, in my opinion, to see Brazil in this state where we have to decide between two candidates that just make Brazil such a polarized country, inciting violence, extremes, and I think especially they don't represent any of the young population, right? Any progress in the country. It's really very sad. So my vote is a vote of protest.
Amid such division, it was Lula who made it to the finish line first.
People here are shouting, Lula has returned. Like him or loathe him, this is a historic moment for Brazil. 20 years after Lula first became president, he's back in the top job.
But for these people, a Lula victory is not a victory for Brazil. His job will be to unite them and be their president too. Lula will have to contend with conservative lawmakers in whatever he wants to do. It won't be easy, but tonight, these supporters aren't worried. He's back in the top job, and he's back to change Brazil. Katie Watson, BBC News in Sao Paulo.
Well, world leaders have been congratulating Mr. Lula on his victory, which has cemented a trend towards left-wing governments in Latin America. Gustavo Petro, Colombia's first ever left-wing leader, tweeted, "Long live Lula." The presidents of Mexico and Chile were also quick to welcome the result, and Argentina's Alberto Fernandez said it opened a new era for the region. Meanwhile, in Washington, President Biden said Lula's win followed free, fair and credible elections. President Putin has also said he hopes for constructive cooperation between Russia and Brazil.